Hey guys, Shaden here and welcome back to another tutorial. So in this tutorial, what I'll be covering, it's all about off-page SEO. So when it comes to off-page SEO, there's a lot of factors that you should be looking at. There's a lot of factors that you should be considering. But I just want to give you, because it's the beginner's kind of class, so I just want to give you the most important factors that you should be looking at, just to give you an understanding of the overall important things with regards to off-page SEO. And then that should give you a very good foundation if you want to dive in deeper into understanding, how to do off-page SEO really effectively. But this will just give you like those important factors that you should be looking at first. Okay, so essentially, what is off-page SEO? So off-page SEO is, very simply put, is just link building, right? So what is link building? So every single time when a website mention your website and they have a link on their page, and they have a link to your page or your website, that is considered like a link, right? So that's what we mean by off-page SEO. Everything is happening off your website, right? So if you have two different websites within the content of that page linking to your page, that is considered like two links, right? And then if you have three, there's three links, four. So essentially, it all boils down to just link building, right? Very simply put. So there are a couple of ways of how you can do off-page SEO. I'm just going to give you some of the most common ones that you will see when you think about off-page SEO. And also one of the main important ranking factors is off-page SEO, because essentially off-page SEO is kind of like getting a vote from other websites, and the more votes you have, a little caveat here, but the more quality votes you have, the better your site will rank, right? So there's a lot of things that goes into doing off-page SEO well. Just do take note, off-page SEO, if you want to do it well, it doesn't mean that you're going out there to get a lot of links. Because technically, like I mentioned earlier, you don't just want to get a lot of links, votes in this sense. You want to get quality votes, okay? Because not all links are created equally. Sometimes if you do it the wrong way, it may hurt your website. It may cause your website to get, penalized by Google and things like that. So I'm going to walk you through how to do this, the best way possible. Let's get straight into it. So, how do you actually build links, right? So there's a lot of different types of ways you can do it, but these are the main categories that you see a lot of times. Okay, the first one will be guest posts. So guest posts is, if you reach out to a website and if you were to request like, hey guys, I love your site, I propose like these 3 topics. Could I write the topic for you? And then in return, within that topic or within that content, you have a link that is linking back to your site. So that's a guest post. Some of them can be paid. Some of them are natural. The way of how you actually execute these specific things, again, it's very, I think it's very much more advanced than this. So I just want to give you like the overview of things. And then, like I mentioned, because this is a beginner's tutorial, if you want to dive in deeper into that, at least you know what's going on, right? So that's the first method, guest posting. The second method, is citations. So citations, if you think about your directories, whenever you launch a new service, you have a local service, for example, and then you have like your Chamber of Commerce. You have directories, like for example, if you are a dental clinic, there will be directories for dental clinics. And if you list your profile there, they will have a link back to your site. So that's considered like citations. You can do citations either via directories. Most of the time is via directories. So that is one way of how you can acquire links through different citations. The other one, which is very common, it's UGC, user-generated content. So these, meaning to say these are generated by users. So think of your forums, think of your blog post comments, think of anything that is basically user generated in that kind of environment, right? So this could be natural or this could be intentional. So natural meaning to say, if your product, it's really good and somebody mentions it on a forum, then, that is natural, where people is basically mentioning your product, and within their comments, they are linking back to one of your product pages, for example. So that's a natural way of, getting links via UGC. The other way is an intentional way, where you are intentionally going to forums and then leaving a comment there with a link to your own product page. So it's very intentional. That is also one form of doing link building. And also, like, for example, if you are going to somebody's blog and then leaving a comment there, and then within the comment, you are also linking back to your website. So that is an intentional way of doing things. And also there's a natural way of doing things. So that's for user-generated content. And then the next one will be natural links. So natural links, whenever you are writing your content, if you were to refer out to another piece of content that that have any kind of statistics, essentially it's natural because the website didn't ask you to link to them. You're just citing them as a source. So think of it this way for your own site, right? So if you have a very good piece of content, or you have some kind of statistics that you are publishing, you get these links coming to you because of the content that you're publishing, because there's some kind of value that you're giving out, and then other websites notice this as well, and they are linking to you without you naturally asking them for it. So that is natural links, where you're not doing things, they're just coming in naturally. And then the last form, which is very popular, which is PR campaigns, where you are basically launching a PR campaign for your site or for whichever business that you're working with, and you are reaching out to publications, journalists, to let them know that this is the thing that you guys are doing, and then based off on that, if publications pick it up, they will link it back to you. So that is kind of like the PR campaigns. That's one form of way of how you can get links. So there's a lot more other ways in terms of the tactics of how you can execute them. Like guest posting, just guest posting alone, there's a lot of different ways of execution. Similar with citations, UGC, natural links, and PR campaigns. And not only that, there's a lot more other types of off-page SEO, but these are just the most common ones that you will see. So I think the most important thing when it comes to off-page SEO is not just about how you can get links, but there's a lot of other factors that you should be considering. And I think these are more important because, like I mentioned, with regards to off-page SEO, you want to do them correctly. And the last thing you want to do is you do an off-page SEO campaign and then for some reason it backfires. So all your resources, your time, your budget, if you are investing in any, gets wasted, and you do not want that, right? So these are the important factors of off-page SEO. So I'll just run through all this with you. Again, just to give you an overview of when it comes to off-page, when it comes to link building, what are the things that is what are the terms that consistently comes up and what you should be paying attention to. But I will not dive into like the really, really in-depth details because that will take too long. And because it's a beginner's lesson, again, I don't want to confuse you. So first things first is authority. So usually when it comes to a site, there is some kind of authority, and authority usually is a made-up matrix from your typical SEO software tools like Ahrefs or SEMrush. But they usually give like a DA or DR. So you will see DA and DR very often. And DA means domain authority, DR means domain rating. It's just used by different SEO platforms. It's just how they classify them, but essentially they means the same thing. It just shows you the authority of a site. Now, usually when it comes to getting a link, you want a site to be authoritative, right? So for example, if you have a link from, let's say, Forbes, or let's say Entrepreneur, right? Or let's say the top sites in Singapore, for example, if it's, let's say, the Straits Times, for example, right? These sites are very, very highly authoritative. So when it comes to link building, if you have a choice of choosing between a site that is, say, for example, your Straits Times or your Forbes versus a site that is, a local another local business publication website that just came out like 2 months ago, right? So obviously, when it comes to authoritativeness wise, you want to go with the site that has a higher domain authority, because like I mentioned, you don't just want to build links, you want to build quality links, and authority is part of that equation. So authority is one, and usually when you want to see authoritative, you want to see a website, if you want to build a link, you want to, as much as you can, try to score high DA or DR links, but that is just part of the equation. So do take note, DA and DR, it's a made-up metric. And meaning to say, when it comes to metrics like this, you cannot just look at the DA or DR. You need to look at all these factors I'm talking about as a whole, and then make that decision, because DA and DR can be made up, it can be manipulated. So if you're trying to build link on, let's say, a DR80 site, but it doesn't fulfill a lot of the other criteria that later on I'll go through, then that is not the most important way of how you should be building it. So DA and DR is just one small part of the equation, right? So authority, that's the first thing. The second thing is trust. So you want to look at a website and ask some questions whether if this site is trustworthy or not. And in the next video, I'll be showing you how you can actually qualify whether this link is worth building to. So all these are based off on outreach method. So if you are reaching out to sites and you're building link intentionally, then these are important, because naturally when links come to you, when you publish your content and links come to you, right, you cannot control who is linking to you, right? So these are very important factors when you are deciding, when you are outreaching to a website. Basically, you can choose which website you want to outreach to, right? So these are important factors when it comes to deciding which website you should be reaching out to, or which website you should be, going after for a link, right? So in the next video, I'll go through the link qualification, but this gives you an overall context. Okay, so trust, meaning to say when you go through a website, is the website trustworthy? When you look at a website, does the design look good? Does the website has a, let's say, for example, a About Us page? Or when you look at a site overall, does it look like it's not very trustworthy, right? So when you look at trust, there's a few things that you can look at. Like I mentioned, About page, About Us page, if you see their socials icons, do they have if this is a real business, do they have a LinkedIn page? Is their blog post, if it's a dental site, for example, are they covering topics from, let's say, the crypto site, crypto niche? Because why would a dental website publish something about crypto, for example? So you want to have a sense check to make sure that this website is trustworthy. There are also other tools that you can use as well, like, for example, Majestic. Majestic allows you to check the trust, the trust flow. Moz as well allows you to track, how trustworthy is the site. Again, all these are metrics by platforms, but one way that you can just simply check is just look at the site, right? So that's for trust. And the next thing is regards to relevance. So relevance, it's as much as you can. If you have again, I'm going to use the dental example. So if you have a dental site, you want to be able to have a site that is coming from another site that is ideally talking about the dental space, right? It could be like, for example, a dental, a website about teeth, right? How to maintain a good teeth hygiene and things like that. So that is the highest relevance that you can go. If not, then you want the other side to be talking about, let's say, healthcare, right? And dental is part of healthcare, for example, or part of hygiene. So that is also somewhat relevant. But you do not, as much as you can, you do not want, let's say, for example, you have a dental site, you do not want a crypto site to, you can, but ideally you do not want a crypto site to be linking to your site, because there is no connection at all. Because one website is talking about crypto, your site is talking about, everything related to teeth related stuff. There's no connection there. So relevance plays a very important role. when you are choosing which site you want to be building a link to. So with regards to that, you want to look at this overall, right? So ideally, the best case scenario is you have a site that is authority, that has a lot of that is high authority, that is trustworthy, and has a lot of relevance. So for example, in the dental space, if you can get a link from, let's say, Colgate, right, that will be the best. The brand Colgate, or I think the other brand is Sensodyne, for example. Is it? Yeah, but think of your major big brands like that, right? So these brands usually fulfills the authority, trust, and relevance, right? And then that's the best case type of links that you can get. So these links are very difficult to get, and that's why I just want to give you an overview, because like I mentioned, every kind of techniques or tactics that you use, it's a whole new video by itself. Okay, so that is with regards to relevance. Now, these are the next two things are also important for you to take note. The first one is cadence. So cadence means to say how many links are you actively building on a monthly basis, because you do not want to build 5 links this month and then next month you build 50 links, and then the month after you don't build any links at all, because it will look very, very weird when it comes to link building, because you always want to make sure that at least there's some form of consistency or some form of regular cadence that's going on. So for example, if you're building 5 links, next month you also ideally want to build 5 links around there. The following month you also want to build 5 links. If you're building 10 links, then next month maybe you can build 8. The following month you can build 10. But you need to have of a consistent enough cadence so that it doesn't look intentional, right? So it doesn't look weird when Google looks at your site and see in the first month you have built hundreds of links, and then the second month you didn't build any links, right? And then the third month you didn't build any links, and then the fourth month you build a lot of links again. So this is somewhat unnatural. Okay, so cadence is one thing you need to consider. And when it comes to considering cadence, part of it is also understanding what resources do you have, right? Do you have enough budget, or do you have enough time, right? Because either way, building link take time or take a budget, right? Most of the time it takes 2. Okay, so that's for cadence. And then the last thing is anchor text. So anchor texts are basically when a website links to your page, what is the text that they are using, right? So that's an anchor text. So an anchor text can be branded, naked, generic, exact match, or partial match. These are different types of anchor text. So first one is branded, right? So for example, if a website on ABC is linking back to our site, and the text that they're using is TRAFF, for example, TRAFFE, then that is a branded anchor text, because it's our brand, right? That is considered a branded anchor text. Or for example, it could be like contact TRAFF, right? That could be a branded text as well. So if let's say we have some kind of features, right? So let's say TRAFF's SEO on-page checker, for example, right? And they have that as a anchor text. That is also part of branded anchor text, right? So basically anything to do with our brand, and if they are using that as a text to link back to our page, that is considered a branded anchor text. Naked anchor text will be basically like the URL. So for example, if the URL they are linking to our homepage is https /traff.com, and they're using that as anchor text, that is considered like a naked anchor text. Okay. Generic one is basically your click here, find out more, visit us, or contact us. Like all these are generic terms, right? So if they're using that as a text, then these are considered generic anchor text. Now, exact match anchor text is basically if my website is trying to rank for SEO agency, for example, they are linking to our site and they are using SEO agency, which is the exact keyword that we're trying to rank for, that is considered an exact match anchor text. And then partial match is basically, let's say the exact keyword is SEO agency. So partial match could be engage our SEO agency in Singapore. Like that's a long form of a partial match anchor text, or it could be SEO agency in Singapore, for example. That could also be a partial match anchor text, or it could be another variation of the another variation of the main keyword, which is, for example, if the main keyword is SEO agency, a secondary keyword could be Singapore SEO agency or SEO services in Singapore, right? So that could also be part of a partial match. So these are the different types of anchor text, and the reason why it's important is because you need to also understand how these anchor texts comes as part of a strategy when you are doing off-page SEO, because having too many exact match or having too many partial match is going to look unnatural, and you want to mix things up a little bit, right? So again, because this is a beginner's lesson, I just want to give you like an overview of when you're stepping into off-page SEO. These are the terms that you see again and again, right? And these are the terms that you should be paying attention to. So do keep all this in mind when you are, considering off-page SEO or when you're trying to build links. Now, the next one, which is I think the most important one after understanding this overview, right? To give you kind of a way of how you can move forward when it comes to off-page SEO. And you might have heard of me repeating this again and again, right? The name of the game is to be natural, or you want to look as natural as much as possible. That is fundamentally the most important thing when it comes to building links, right? You do not want anything to look unnatural. And you can see, for example, if a website has a lot of high authority but doesn't have trust, right? It looks very unnatural because that site is clearly set up to, sell links. They are set up so that, they manipulate the authority of the site to become very high authority. Like they have a high DR or DA score, but they don't have trust, they don't have relevance and things like that. And this looks very unnatural, right? Because this is not a real site. It's being manipulated so that the DA or DR is very high so that they can sell to other websites that are looking to build links, and you don't be one of those guys that are just building links to from a high DA or DR site just because they have high DA or DR, because it's unnatural, right? So when I talk about trust, when I talk about cadence, everything is making sure that you are doing things as natural as much as possible. So cadence, for example, it's very weird if it's very unnatural if a website has 100 links or 200 links in the first month, and then the second month they don't have any links, and then the third month they don't have any links, and then the fourth month they have 300 links, right? That is very unnatural, because ideally for things to move forward, you want to see, like, if let's say this month they are building links, the next month they also want to see some kind of links being built, because that's naturally how a website get links. Or the other alternative is when you have all these spikes, Google is going to take note of this. And when Google notices something, that means it's something out of the ordinary, something that is unnatural, right? So if you have spikes and then you don't build, and then you stop your link building effort, and then you have spikes again, that is somewhat unnatural, right? So unless you are doing PR campaigns, right, then there's a different story, right? So cadence is very important. And also I mentioned anchor text, right? So if you think about how a natural website gets links, they are the sites they are linking to your website, for example, right? So if you're, again, I'm going to use the dental example. So if you have a dental site and another website talks about dentistry, for example, and you have a piece of content that is about how to, let's say, whiten your teeth, right? Naturally, when a site mentions you, they are going to either have like branded or naked or generic anchor text. They will not have the exact match. The website will not know your primary keyword or your partial match keyword or your secondary keywords. They will not know what your keywords are. They are just going to naturally think of, when they are writing, they're just going to link to your site. And then if it's an exact match, that's good. But most of the time it's going to be branded or a naked or a generic one, right? So if you have it the other way around, if your entire website or if your entire links have a lot of exact match or partial match and have very little naked or branded or generic terms, then that is going to look very weird because that's naturally not how websites link to you most of the time, right? So there is no absolute here. It's always a majority, and majority of the time, you will see websites for a natural website to have. Generally, they're going to mention a brand more. Generally, you're going to paste the entire URL more or generic terms more. But if you have like exact match or partial match as most of the anchor text you have, then that's going to look very weird to Google, right? So the name of the game, okay, the name of the game is always to keep things natural or look like it's natural, right? Because like I mentioned, if you want to get long-term results, everything that you should be doing should look natural as much as possible. Okay, so that's no matter what kind of practices that you're going about, the key here is to make it look natural. Okay, so that is all for this tutorial. So hopefully you like what you see here. If you feel that somebody can benefit from this, or hey, somebody else have been talking about this but don't know what are the things that they should be looking out for, or maybe it's just some new concepts within here, feel free to share this, and then if you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section. I try to answer all of them. And yeah, so hopefully that's helpful, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Just